Hey, welcome back to Matrix Breakers. Today we have Jeff Street and Lauren McQueen talking about entrepreneurship and innovative healthcare solutions, as well as just a whole variety of things. It's just going to be an exciting podcast to get into. These people are individuals that are very successful in their own right and have had many successes throughout their life, and I would say also in their relationship and just the way that they carry themselves, and especially in business. So why don't you guys share a little bit about yourselves really quick to introduce yourselves?
Ladies first.
Awesome. Well, hi guys. My name is Lauren McQueen. So I'm 30 years old. I live in Austin, Texas, right outside of Austin, Texas, in the Hill Country. And entrepreneurship is actually all I've ever known. So I born and raised in Connecticut, a small town in Connecticut. They actually said we have more cows than people in Connecticut. So when I moved to Texas, that was big culture shock for me. But went to UConn and actually went to school for nutrition, thinking that I knew what I was going to do for the rest of my life, just like many college kids, right? And went to UConn for 4 years, and second semester of senior year just kind of had a come to Jesus moment, an aha moment, and I realized I have no desire to go back to school and get my master's degree, and really took a deeper dive into like what nutrition majors actually made as nutritionists, and just realized, that's not what I want to do with my life. And so did a little shift and got into network marketing actually with my first company in the nutritional product sales. I sold nutritional supplements and just really caught the vision of that, surrounded myself with incredible people, and really learned from the best of the best, and graduated college earning more with that company than I would have with my degree. And so by the age of 21 became a full-time entrepreneur and never looked back. So it's been a huge blessing for me.
Can I say something really quick on Lauren's story? Lauren's story is very similar to mine, except I didn't get to finish college, and I joined network marketing early on and found success in that endeavor. And of course, also sales, which almost comes hands in hand because it's two different things going on. And so I relate to that a lot. So sorry, go ahead, Jeff, though. Share a little bit about yourself. That was very awesome, Lauren. Thank you.
Now, so here's another similar story. So first of all, I grew up in Rhode Island, smallest state in the country, went to school in Philadelphia and realized really quickly that I never wanted to have a job. And what I mean by that is when I was a sophomore in college, I saw my father get laid off after 20 plus years working for one company in corporate America. Somebody handed me the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the company I was working for doing sales, inside sales rep for a nutritional company actually, passed me over for a promotion because of my age. So I actually got involved in a network marketing company, had some success with that company. It ended up going out of business. But for me, what happened is after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I decided to go into traditional business. And so for anybody that remembers Nextel, the walkie-talkie, the direct connect phones, that's what I used to do. I had 5 stores, dozens of employees. I started my business while I was in college. By the time I graduated, I had 5 stores, couple dozen employees, and it was doing well at a young age. But one thing that was a big blessing for me, didn't seem like a blessing at the time, is I got humbled. Right. A lot of times when you have success young, that can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. In my case, and some degree, it was a bad thing. But anyway, when Sprint and Nextel merged together, I lost half my income overnight. Found myself bartending on the side, catering for a catering company, maxing out every credit card that I owned to meet payroll every month. And I literally went 6 months straight without taking a paycheck from my own company. And one of my stores got robbed. So Dylan, I'm sure you'd agree, I was pretty open-minded at that point to opportunities. And after my first network marketing company kind of went kaput, so to speak, I was kind of a closed-minded on the industry of network marketing. Matter of fact, I told myself I'd never do it again. I said anytime that I had children in the future, I would make them get involved in the industry because the personal growth, the self-development, some of the things that Lauren was talking about, who I learned to be as a leader in that industry was absolutely priceless. So much greater than what I got from my college. And Drexel University was a good college, but I believe in what Jim Rohn said. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education can make you a fortune. So I love the personal development part. But running a traditional business, I was really closed-minded about looking at the industry again. But obviously, when your circumstances change, your mindset changes. And as my traditional business started to falter, a good friend of mine, Patrick Mazer, had been talking to me about network marketing for about 5 years. And as my business was falling apart, he was having a ton of success. And he ended up pulling up to my store one day and ended up going to a meeting with him. And the rest was history. 6 months later, I sold my other business, never looked back, and been with the same company now for 18 years, 17 and a half years full time. My wife was an insurance agent for State Farm. She walked away from her career. And, we've been full-time network marketers now for as long as I can remember.
Wow. Okay. So it's funny. You all already answered the first question, which was like kind of what are your history in entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
which I can ask it again. But I want to just mention this as so the concept matrix breakers, which is the reason for the podcast, it kind of goes to show that you two are matrix breakers, right? It's just, when you get to a point at some level, you question the system, or the traditional way of doing things, and you're kind of say to yourself, I'm open to doing something different. Jeff got his early start as like you're in college and you're already starting businesses. I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad is a matrix breaking book, right? Because it just makes you think completely different. Also, made you think different on the small business owner thing, right? Like you realize you have a small business and you're running it, and then like as you mentioned, you're maxing out credit card. I am experiencing something similar with another side business that I have, but it's like, when do I start to get paid? But obviously, I know that there's like slow seasons and then there's high seasons, and a lot of it deals with cash flow and how you manage cash flow, because sometimes things are very good and some things get slower. And if you manage cash flow properly, then you can almost get to a better place. We can talk about that too. One thing that came to mind though for both of you, this is just something that maybe y'all can help other people with, is money management and like tips on, because I want to know how you guys broke through in your success. So you've obviously, I would say success is like a roller coaster. So sometimes you make these breakthroughs, but you never quite go all the way back down to the bottom because you're like still growing, right? So you break through and you kind of level out and you can kind of go down sometimes, but you usually go back up a little higher that next time and you make more breakthroughs. My first question would be to Lauren. What would you say was a moment where you think maybe it was in a business, the previous one or this one? What would you say is a moment you're like, there's a breakthrough or a new technology, whatever it might have been for you personally? What happened there that made you level up?
It was just my circumstances. I mean, second semester of senior year, I realized if nothing changed, nothing was going to change. And, when I was talking about surrounding myself with the right types of people, they were living life with huge vision. They weren't working the 9 to 5, and I'm not knocking 9 to 5s. There's people that love what they do, and that's so great, but they were always growing every single year. And so I just realized like I wanted a life like that. I at that time was single, no children and all that. And it's just like, I had vision for my future of, if I don't do anything different, my life, my children's life, my family's life is never going to look like that. And so that's when I just, like I said, put my head down and got to work and made my first 6 figures at the age of 21. And, I had to really ask my mentors about money management. And it's like, hey, I've never made this type of money before, help me out. And that's when they really just showed me reality. Like, you're going to have to pay taxes. You're a 1099 employee and, all that stuff. And just really started learning about managing my money, not living above my means. Something I'll say about money, and it kind of goes a little off topic, but Jeff talked about personal growth, and that one of the best things that my mentor ever told me when I was probably about 20 years old, she said, your paycheck will never outgrow your personal growth. And if it does, it won't last very long. And so as part of my growth financially, a big part of that, what came first was my growth personally.
That I just want to say, if people missed it, is definitely being around people with a great vision. And that's kind of what network marketing does, because it's almost like when you're involved, you're seeing other people who are in the same industry or in the same company, very, very close proximity, and they have a large vision, or they're living that vision in many cases, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, and it makes you question all of reality, thinking, wow, I can never go back to the small group of friends that has small thinking, they're just not there. So that's a huge conduit, I think, to your success. Okay, well, cool.
Dylan too, even, with network marketing, it's like in college, no one talks about network marketing. Maybe they talk about becoming a business owner, which is a lot of money up front. But the beauty of network marketing is you're a business owner within a company that you didn't have to start on your own. So usually there is a very low startup fee to have all the access to everything that, you know, a large company would have. And so I think that's the beauty of network marketing. You're right. I remember my first event, there was, you know, probably 20,000 people. We were in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, and I saw people walk the stage where they shared their story of where they came from, a broke coach, you know, a teacher who was on food stamps, like whatever that looks like, to where they were at. That's what you're talking about with expanding your vision. And so, you know, for anyone watching, you want to surround yourself with people who are further ahead in life than you and where you want to go. Because when you find someone who has what you want, do what they do, and you're going to see the same outcome.
Perfectly said. Jeff, are you have anything to add on that? And also, what the same question going back to you with a breakthrough?
Yeah, no, and I think for me, my biggest breakthrough was my back was up against the wall. And sometimes a setback is a setup for something greater, right? And if it wasn't for the pressure that I had, you know, they say the only thing that separates coal and diamonds is pressure, right? And I wouldn't intentionally put somebody in this situation, but at the end of the day, for me, I had gone 6 months straight without taking a paycheck from my own company. I was the president and also the janitor, like you were talking about, Dylan. And, you know, for me, I was in a situation where I had to make something work. So when I got involved in network marketing, like I just had that burning desire of like, what do I got to do to make it happen? Now I kept doing what I was doing. And I think that's a big mistake that people make in this industry is they quit their full-time job before they have an income stream that's more than what they're doing, you know, on their full-time basis. Jim Rohn always said, I'm working part-time I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune. So I was working full-time on my business to try to keep it afloat. And I was building my network marketing business on the side. And, you know, everybody's going to have a different story. You know, it's like the gym. Some people join the gym, they do very little, they have very little results. Other people join the gym, they go consistently daily, and you know they have amazing results. And I think this industry is very similar. So 19 months into doing this, my residual reoccurring income was larger than all of my fixed living expenses combined. And you know, going back to Robert Kiyosaki, that's the definition of getting out of the rat race. When your reoccurring revenue, when your cash flow that's coming in is bigger than your expenses, you know, that is, you know, the definition of getting out of the rat race. For me, that was financial freedom. But I think a lot of people live above their means, especially in like an industry that we're in, where a lot of people are in that, you know, show me world. If, you know, a lot of people want to show off what they've done. My mentor told me very early on, he said, Jeff, live below your means. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. So my wife and I, what we've always done is we have had our entire budget, all of our living expenses covered by our residual income. Now, bonuses, those can go up and down. Like you said, Dylan, there's an entrepreneurial roller coaster. But if we wanted nicer things in life, our residual income had to grow, that reoccurring revenue. So for 16 plus years now, we've had a reoccurring revenue that's been larger than all of our living expenses. And as that grew, we upgraded our life. We upgraded our cars. We upgraded our vacations. We upgraded our house. My wife's in Malaysia right now for 2 weeks with her family. And so as our residual grew, we went out and allowed ourselves to do more. And bonuses were just extra money that were coming in for investments and any other, you know, fun thing that we decided to do. But that was something that was really important for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, they hear a lot about people making, you know, early, easy, simple, some success. But you do not hear a lot of those stories about people losing the money or losing their ambition. Some people just stall out. You know, they make a certain amount of money and then they realize that they just let their lifestyle kind of live lavishly, as you said, show me instead of, you know, what is it, the other thing. But it's just people living that way and realizing they get really comfortable. I think it's very unique to witness people who have a larger vision, not just for themselves, but for others, you know, and that's what I think takes people to the next level. Because why should you go and become more when you have everything covered? Oh, everything's taken care of. I've more than exceeded my expectations for my own living situation. I think there is something about driven purpose, which I'd love to get into with Lauren, if you'd like, is mainly what is the purpose that drives you at this point? You were young, had success as a young person. Now, you know, you're married. I assume you have children. You know, this is years later. And so what is the purpose that drives you personally, but also professionally?
You know, I think my purpose has definitely changed throughout my journey. My purpose getting started in college was I didn't want to do what I went to school for, right? And so like I had to make it work. And so that was my purpose then. And then once I had accomplished that, and I was just living this single life, at in my 20s, and my income was great. I had a lot more income coming in than I did going out every month, and so I was enjoying it. I was traveling, but something that I really love sharing with people is if you're in that situation where you're making good money and you're not spending it all, having something to fix the roof before it rains, meaning make sure for the what ifs, if something happens down the road, you're going to be okay, and so it was hard for me in those years to really find a strong purpose because I felt like I kind of had it, I had accomplished it, but that's why I had to keep having vision for the future, the kind of yes mom I want to be and not have to say no to my kids when I have them. And no, we don't have kids yet. We just got married like 6 months ago, but
Oh, wow. Okay, gotcha.
and be able to retire my parents early, you know what I mean? And when they retire, not have to have them go and find a part-time job, be able to have the money where I could, bless them and tithe and give more to people, and as I kind of walked that out, then my season changed again and I got married last year. And, my husband is VP of a $100 million roofing company. And so I'm in a season now where I don't have to work if I didn't want to, but because I love what I do and I know that God has called me to, this industry. I think in leadership, part of the beautiful things about network marketing, yes, the, money you can make, all that, but being able to lock arms with people who don't know their capacity and look at them and say, this is what I see in you. I know your why, and you have attached their why to your why. And when you help someone else get what they want, you get what you want in return. And so, my purpose has changed. My husband and I, we want to give, we want to tithe, we want to, bless missionaries with, our money that I make through ACN and whatnot. And so, it's ever changing. But I think when you get yourself out of the way and you look at the people you're helping accomplish what they want, you're going to go very far in this industry.
Yeah, and Jeff, I want to get into, impact health sharing and all of these things too, and ask a broader question too. If you want to briefly touch on your purpose though, and kind of what drives you today, given you've been successful, you've had over a decade worth of success in this industry, and in this company in particular, what do you think is kind of driving you now? I mean, I know you're out there, you're in Lubbock, you're still on the grind, like you're there in the field, creating success, not just for yourself, but for others. Like, I think what's driving you now?
Yeah, so a few different things. At first, it was me. Like at first, I needed to make it happen for myself. And then, as that happened and I got married, then it was for, my family. But at the end of the day, so much of my success was because a mentor helped me. And so today, being able to be that mentor for other people, that feeling of fulfillment when your head hits the pillow at the end of the night, that never gets old. But also, as I grew as a person, as my faith grew, our business for my wife and I really has become our kingdom ministry. And what I mean by that is we've been blessed to attract some incredible people like Lauren that we get to work with on a daily basis. And because we've been able to attract some incredible people, we've been able to have an incredible platform, meaning we get to speak and train at our company national conventions for years and years and years in a row. And we're not shy about our faith, meaning we are bold in giving glory and honor to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as we train. And so we've actually had multiple people come to us and say, tell me more about your Jesus. Tell me more about why that you are, always, that why you can be a shining light for other people. So our business has really been a ministry for us as well, where we've been able to really create a wonderful platform to share our faith, to share our beliefs, which, that's really my biggest purpose for being on this earth. So being able to utilize that and have that come one-to-one with our business. Now, as far as impact health sharing goes, that revived my excitement, meaning, 18 years doing this now. When we learned about impact health sharing, that was about 2 years ago. Doing something for 16 years, at some point, even as you're having fun and you're doing what you're doing and you're mentoring people, at some point you're kind of going through the motions a little bit. But when I learned about impact health sharing and really learned how broken I believe personally that the health insurance industry is, man, that just relit my flame even more so than it's ever been lit, buddy.
Yeah. So a question, broadly speaking, on that is, given the COVID era, I think I'm almost answering my own question, but I want to give it back to you. Is during the COVID era, we had a very questionable medical system that was making decisions based on really obtruse and not easily understandable advice or evidence at all. And it caused people to start questioning our medical system as a whole. I think that going back to now, it's 2024, it's 4 years after this pandemic, where I believe there's kind of an awakening happening within just when you think of health in general. So for you, like what is the problem with healthcare today, or sick care as many people call it? Like, how, given that you're in the industry, how would you define it? And then also, how can impact health sharing be that solution?
Well, unfortunately, the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare made healthcare very unaffordable for a lot of people. And one thing a lot of people don't realize, in our country is that what you pay in health insurance is correlated to how much money that you make. So if you are a successful individual, you're penalized by having to pay more money in your healthcare costs. Nothing about that makes sense to me at all. Now, I'm turning 45 next month. I haven't had a job since I was 19, so been self-employed for 26 years. I don't know what it's like to have somebody else pay my health care. So for as long as I can remember, first I had no health insurance because I couldn't afford it when I was a younger entrepreneur. And then I've been paying a lot of money for health insurance for a lot of years. And my wife and I were healthy people. Now, here's a staggering stat. 5% of the country equates to over 50% of all healthcare costs in our country. So what that means is the other 95% only equate to the other 50% of the healthcare costs. So most people are healthy, most people are fairly healthy, and most people are overpaying significantly to compensate for people that aren't that aren't healthy when it comes to health insurance. So that's why health sharing is such a disruptor, because it's really a privatized group healthcare plan really put together for individuals that are healthy or fairly healthy. So it lowers the risk factor significantly. And Dylan, we're literally saving people 30, 40, 50. I even have examples of 70% on healthcare. Personally, I saved just under $8,000 a year from my wife and I when we switched off of Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we believe we have better coverage. No network, go to any doctor we want anywhere in the country. So for me, not only did we pay a lot less, but I believe that we're paying for something better, but paying less for it.
It's to me, the healthcare thing, it sounds like a legal arbitrage of some kind. Because when we say health sharing, I guess for people who don't understand, and please enlighten me too, but when you say health sharing, for those that don't understand the difference, when you have health insurance and health sharing, there's a slight difference, but really, what does it actually mean? Like, what is the difference? Because some people are like, can't quit my health insurance for some other thing. They don't believe it. I mean, they really don't even believe the savings that you could get, right? I mean, enlighten us.
And there's so many misconceptions. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
No, you go, Lauren.
I was going to say there's so many misconceptions. I talk to people who, maybe their employer is paying part of their health insurance and they think, oh, I'm stuck in that, I'm locked in. It's like, no, you're not locked into a health insurance, and they think they have to wait till open enrollment to get out of it. And that's not the case at all. And so I think people are just, believing false information, and they think they have to be paying these overpriced, health insurance costs. And, the main difference with health insurance, it's a for-profit, it's for-profit companies. And with Impact Health Sharing, it's nonprofit. And health sharing is not new. It's actually been around for over 40 years. So 4 decades, it originated in churches where church members would actually pay each other's medical bills. And so there's a lot of health sharing companies out there that are strictly faith-based. But what we've done with Impact is we've taken something that was faith-based and we've made it mainstream. And this allows us to go into businesses where we're helping, business owners save hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with get great coverage for their employees. And so that's one of the main differences with health sharing, where, you know, we're paying each other's medical bills. We get super low rates. The coverage is phenomenal. You can go to see any doctor that you want, not have to worry about being out of network. And Impact Health actually will negotiate prices, the price of someone's medical expense, with the provider on behalf of the member. So just to give you an example, Dylan, I tore my meniscus 2 months ago, and my hospital bill was about $1,600. When they billed Impact Health, my bill came to me at $233. From $1,600 to $233. And so those are just some of, you know, the benefits of Impact Health Sharing. But I was on the phone with someone yesterday, family of 3, their employer takes out $600 every 2 weeks from their healthcare or from their paycheck. That's $1,200 a month that a family of 3 is paying. I gave them a quote for just under $500. And they're like, that's over $12,000 a year back in our pockets that we're saving. And gosh, between Jack and myself, we've helped, you know, hundreds of people with those types of savings.
Yeah. Jeff?
And when you think about how people can repurpose those savings, especially with the economy the way it is, I mean, the cost of everything is rising. When you look at, you know, the cost of food, you look at, you know, interest rates, you look at homeowners insurance, you look at property taxes, you look at the cost of everything is going up. So Lauren gave that example. I think she said she saved that family $700 a month on healthcare. Think about what that money can go to. But healthcare sharing, it's really a peer-to-peer system, where with traditional health insurance, it's a for-profit industry. People are all the money is going into one central account into a bank. Healthcare sharing is decentralized reserves. So every member of the healthcare sharing community has their own actual impact account, where through an algorithm and through the magic of technology, that technology goes from one account to the other and helps to facilitate the payment of people's medical bills. So it's the purest thing that I've ever seen with healthcare. Like, I love knowing where my money goes to. It's 100% transparency. We can see where the money moves. I know that when my account is matched and my account is used to pay somebody else's medical bills, I can send them a prayer request. I can send them a get well notice, or I can remain anonymous. But I love that portion. The other part of it is from a provider standpoint. So not only is this something amazing for individuals, families, small businesses with the savings, but I know your father is a chiropractor. You know, I met, you know, Dylan through his dad. His father's not just a chiropractor. He's part of the Texas Chiropractic Association. And they actually came on board as an independent representative with our company because of medical freedom. And what I mean by medical freedom, from a provider standpoint, Impact is paying the providers on average in under 14 business days time. So providers are getting paid way faster than they're getting paid with the insurance companies. We also pay on average 140 to 160% of the Medicare rate. So a provider like your father, they're getting paid faster, they're getting paid more. But here's the biggest thing when I talk about medical freedom. When a provider has to work with an insurance company, they can only diagnose their patient and treat their patient based on the guidelines of the insurance company. Impact gives their providers the freedom to diagnose and treat their patients based on their medical experience, based on their medical expertise, and treat and diagnose the patient the way that they believe they should be treated, not the way the insurance guidelines read. And for me, as an Impact member, as a client, like, I love the fact that I can go to any doctor I want, but I love the fact that my doctor has the freedom, God forbid something's going on with me, to treat me and diagnose me the way they believe, not the way the insurance company tells them that they should do it.
I have a question on that. So, yes, as to the providers, especially chiropractors who are left out of a lot of healthcare insurance, I would like to ask, so a lot of the issue, though, is hospitals charging way overpriced bills. How does that correlate? Because it's like, if the hospital decides, well, we're going to diagnose you in this way and we're going to bill you this, how does Impact Sharing like negotiate that bill? Like Lauren was saying, you know, because a lot of the problem is actually on the provider end where they overcharge, right? So does that make any sense? And I'm just asking an honest question here.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have a provider outreach team there, and so on average, so they will negotiate down a fair market value. So they will negotiate that medical bill on average by 72%, just like Lauren's example. Now, if the provider refuses to negotiate, the community is going to share in that member's bill, but on average, we're driving the price down by 72%. So even if somebody has pre-existing conditions when they come to the community, they'll still negotiate the bills on their behalf, even if somebody isn't in that healthy slash fairly healthy genre that I talked about category.
And so when you're
And
saying that sharing, go ahead, Lauren.
so once a provider talks with Impact and really actually learns a little bit about it, they're saying, I want to work with you because on average, I think last month, Impact would pay the providers in under 18 business days is basically their average. And usually providers are chasing insurance companies for months to get their payment. So once they hear that, they're like, okay, we want to partner with you for sure.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense because, I guess when you think of impact sharing, when you're saying we're sharing the bill, right? People have set amounts of payments that they make, right? Just to be clear. So they have set amount of payments and it's determined based on sometimes pre-existing conditions and sometimes depending on the health of the person who is signing up, right? So with that being said, they're fixed, right? But it's going into a pool where you're almost like the more people in the pool kind of allows more funds, and with an aggressive, like you said, kind of a team trying to negotiate the best type of fair market value price for operations or all kinds of other necessary medical treatment. Is that how it kind of all works out, right? It's all fixed monthly payment. How does that does it affect anybody else?
Yeah, so I pay $364 a month for my wife and I. We used to pay just under $1,000 for Blue Cross Blue Shield for the two of us. But every month we pay $364. I can see in my portal what of that goes to the sharing community, what goes towards program fees, what goes towards administrative fees, and so on. And any time, and so right now, like personally, I have $1,200 just sitting in my Impact Reserve account, my decentralized reserves, my personal member account. And so if I'm matched, they just pull the money out of that account that just is accumulating from those 364, that 364 that I pay every month. And so when you're matched to somebody, like I contribute $159 to their medical bill. I don't have to do anything. It all gets done through the algorithm and through the technology. Like I was paying money to Blue Cross Blue Shield for years. I never had a clue where the money went. So personally, it just gives me like a great feeling to know, okay, wow, awesome. My, what I spend each month, oh, it went towards the Brookman household. It went towards the Miller family. Oh, they had a broken leg. It went towards that. And to go back to what you were saying before, Dylan, so the only thing that determines what people pay per month for Impact is the date of birth of the oldest person in the family and the number of people in their family. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter, about your pre-existing conditions, although those pre-existing conditions are not shareable by the community until they've been signed symptom diagnosis free for 36 months. So that's why, again, really geared towards people that are healthy or fairly healthy. But again, the only thing, like I helped one of your dad's friends, Dr. Tice Ergrit, one of his patients, very successful business owner, he got on the phone with me. He was paying $3,400 a month for his families for healthcare. Penalized because he made a great income in America. We put him on a plan that was $605 a month. That's $2,800 a month in savings for that family.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no way for people to avoid it. Lauren, so Jeff, I know you got to run at 3:55, right? Is that?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you wrap up with Lauren, but buddy, thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm real excited about what we're doing together.
Yeah, super briefly, Jeff, I've signed up with Impact Health Sharing. I'll be providing a link in the podcast description. So people who are interested in being like, man, I want to get a quote, explain to them how they can go ahead and get a quote, how fast it is and how easy it is.
Yeah, simple and easy. All you need is the date of birth of the oldest person in the family and the number of people that are in the family, and then you'll get a quote right away. You can sign up on the web page. Your coverage begins the first day of the next calendar month. There's no open enrollment period with Impact. Your coverage begins the first day of the next month. And if you have questions, All you do is you just submit yourself in as a lead, you put in request information, and then somebody will give you a call to get any questions you have answered. But what we love is that Impact Health Sharing is the highest revenue producing service in the history of the direct sales and network marketing industry. So in addition to saving money on healthcare, anybody that feels called from hearing this interview, they're like, wow, like this is something I can get behind. Man, I want to disrupt. I want to be a matrix breaker of the healthcare space. This is something that has a 98% customer retention rate. The residuals are significant, and we're going to be building a big team with Dylan. We have an amazing training system, and we'd love to have people be a part of that. I know you guys will cover the rest there, but man, thank you so much for having me on, and you guys are champions.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, we'll let you see you off, and then we'll get in contact, and then Lauren, you and I can finish up here. Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely. And I'll just continue on with what Jeff said, Dylan. So for those of you that like, this sounds super interesting, I want to learn a little bit more about Impact. So every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Central, Jeff and I actually do a live Impact Health educational webinar. I can send Dylan the link as well, and he can get that posted for you guys, where we do it over Zoom. And we have over typically 120 plus people on there, between new Impact members, people wanting to learn about Impact, doctors who want to learn about Impact Health as well, where we just do a deep dive into all things Impact. And then we also have an Impact Health Facebook page that anybody can join. We actually live stream those webinars into the Facebook page. So if you're like, I don't want to wait till Tuesday, I want to watch a recording, you can jump in that Facebook group. We've got testimonies, great information in there. And that's it's just called Impact Health Community Facebook. So Impact Health Community Group, basically.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, so just about you, Lauren, personally, like, today I'm just asking the same question, like, so what motivates you now? And, with this in particular, this company that you're in now, like, what's kind of driving you just to get more and connected with you and to understand where you're at? Because given that people could sign up, people could get involved in this opportunity, they'd be working directly with you. Share your heart with us. Like, what exactly is motivating and driving you to this day?
The number one thing would be exactly what Jeff shared. I believe with my faith, I'm placed on this earth to share the love of Christ, and to bring people closer to Him. And not that that's what we talk about with everybody, but there's been countless times where people who don't know the Lord, or maybe walked away from the Lord, see how we, do business, and just they're like, there's something different about you, and it creates that relationship and that conversation where next thing you know, they're giving their lives to Christ. And that's not everybody, but that's some of it, and that's definitely a huge reason why I know that God's given me this platform, this influence with people, and also because I want to do for people what was done for me. The lady who changed my life at 19 years old, where she had 5 seconds of courage to ask me if I'd be open to an opportunity. And I was scared. I was insecure. I was so caught up in my own shell. I had no idea what my future was going to look like. And I had somebody holding my hand and just mentoring me and walking me through growing a business and growing as a person. I, came to know the Lord through all of that. And I want to be able to look someone else in the eyes and say, I'm going to believe in you until you believe in yourself. I'm going to be here with you. I'm going to help you and your family, whatever it looks like for them. Because oftentimes, I think nowadays, Dylan, you can probably agree, in the normal world, people are so focused on what they're doing that they're not looking around to help anyone else, and we need people out there who says, you don't have to live your life that way forever. There can be something different if you choose. And I want to be that person who helps them make that change.
Yeah. So your faith and your experience with that, like, what are some of the more supernatural things that have happened to you in your life? Like, what makes you have such strong faith in God, and how has that journey been like for you?
So actually, I was raised 100% Jewish. So I did not know the Lord until I was 24. Had a bat mitzvah, went to Hebrew school, everything. And so no one talked about Jesus, right? Like, Jewish people don't believe Jesus is the Messiah. And so it wasn't until I was 24, I was probably at one of the worst places in my life. So kind of long story on me, but I struggled with severe eating disorders for over a decade, and used to weigh 30 pounds less than I do now. And if you guys can see me, I am definitely not overweight. and was very, very sick. I also just went through a very hard breakup. I had moved my life from Connecticut to Florida to be with someone who I thought, I was going to be with forever, and that relationship didn't work out. And so I was literally on the plane, going back home to Connecticut. Eating disorders were at the worst of the worst. Parents had gotten divorced a few years prior. Just got my heart broken, and I was literally in the plane was my surrender moment, where I was like, God, if you're real, I need you to show up. And it was just like, I totally surrendered because I couldn't control my life anymore, and the Lord just worked it out. He put people in my life. He moved me all the way to Texas. I got plugged into a church, and just never looked back.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. But you were studying nutrition in school.
Yeah.
So you definitely had an idea. What do you think caused you to just, like, I don't know, go the other way with that exactly?
Well, it started at 12 years old, honestly. And so I was an athlete of my friends. In high school, I was a three-sport all-state athlete. In middle school, big athlete. All my friends were cheerleaders, and I would always compare my body to theirs, and not that I was overweight, but I wasn't wearing the skimpy, sports bra and skirt and all that stuff. And so I just started somehow learned how to restrict my food and realized, hey, if you restrict your food, you're going to lose weight. And so very quickly, I lost a significant amount of weight, and it turned into over exercising and restricting my food, and got a little bit better in high school. But once I went to college, when my parents got divorced, I felt like the only thing I could control in my life was my body. And mind you, I didn't know the Lord, so I didn't know, who he says I was. I didn't know my worth, nothing like that. So I just thought if I made my body look a certain way, I'd be more liked. People would, be more attracted to me. And so that was just a very, scary ride for about 15 years until I came to, know the Lord, and he delivered me from a lot of it. So it's all glory to
That
God.
was at 24. You kind of like had that awakening, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, and then super brief. You're in love. You've married now 6 months. Is this your first husband? Like, is this like something that, what would be some of the greatest, not just relationship advice, but how did you call in this partner of yours now, the person that you're married to? Like, how did that happen for you ultimately?
Yeah. Well, I fully believe that we attract who we are. And, it goes back to 19 years old when I started network marketing. It was like, are people going to want to follow me? Like, I knew I had to become a certain type of person that people would be attracted to, not just physically, like just everything, and same thing with relationships. And I knew the type of guy I was looking for, someone who loved the Lord, was strong in their faith, someone who wants a family, somebody who, is established. You don't have to make a ton of money, but at least have a good head on your shoulders and have an established career, and so and someone who is a conversationalist, knows how to talk to people, is respectful, is well liked by people, who serves, who, does stuff in the community, who's generous, all that stuff. And it was like, if I want to attract that type of person, I have to be that person. And so, not that I'm perfect, I have plenty of my flaws, but I really, over the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years, when I knew like, hey, people typically get married around this age, really started to just work on myself so much, my relationship with the Lord, just all of it, and just trusted God's timing. I was 29 years old, 1 month before turning 30 when we got married. And at that age, a lot of my friends were already married. They were having babies, and it was hard at times, but I was like, God, you know my heart, I want to be married. And I know that whether you're still preparing me or you're preparing him, it's going to work out. And so my husband is amazing. He is all the things and more that I could have imagined. And, I dated throughout my previously being married, but as soon as I knew that those people weren't who I was supposed to be with forever, it was like, why would I waste my time, and just let the Lord guide it and trust him.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, cool. Well, and in closing, I would love to just offer, anything at all that is on your mind, that there might be somebody listening that could really be moved by something that you're sharing. And for that particular person, like whoever that is,
Yep.
what would you
Yep.
share in closing? Just something that's on your heart that is impactful for that person. And it could be a few people, obviously. But
Yeah.
what would you share from your heart in closing for that?
Well, just because it's literally sitting in front of me and I didn't even plan on talking about this. When I came to know the Lord, a friend of mine, she actually wasn't really a friend of mine. I just knew her through business. She sent me a devotional book. And that one book literally changed my life. It just helped me know who the Lord was, who I was in him. And so over the last few years, I have personally wanted to pay it forward to people. So God has put on my heart to write my own devotional book. So I wrote a book that just got published last month. It's called A New Day, and it's Connect with God, Walk with God, Know God. And it's 31 daily devotions, and you can find it on Amazon. And Dylan, if there's any way for us to do some sort of raffle or something, I'd love to give away like 3 copies to people if we can, figure out some way.
I was just thinking to put the Amazon link. But if you have another, like an email or something, maybe somebody can email you and be like, "Hey, I heard about this book. I'd love to get one," or something.
Yeah, well, we'll put the Amazon link, but we can also, if you guys want to connect with me on social media, it's just type in Lauren McQueen and you'll find me on Facebook, or my Instagram is laura.mcqueen14. And you can find me. And I'd love to, if you're someone struggling with your walk with the Lord, or you don't know God or whatever it is, and you just want someone to talk to, reach out to me. I love to connect with people, especially with that. But yeah, with my book, my heart in that was, I knew how much that little, actually, this was the original Jesus Calling book.
Oh, I know this book. Yeah.
Everything. But I wanted to pay it forward, and I know that this book, that the Lord gave me the words, and it will be transformative for whoever decides to read it.
Now, could you explain the book a little bit? Like, is it your story? Is it devotions that you've had? Or, how would you say the book, what is it?
It's a daily devotional, so it's 31 days.
Okay.
It does have my story, like a Meet the Author page, and then there is a passage per day. So it's about maybe 1 to 2 pages per day that, talks about that whatever passage. So like, for example, day 1 is freedom. Day 2 talks about how you're set apart. And then there's a prayer at the end of it with a reflection question that helps you really just dig a little bit deeper and spend time with the Lord. And a lot of people love doing devotionals like first thing in the morning during their quiet time or before you go to bed. There's scripture in there too. Like when I started reading my first devotional, The Jesus Calling, I didn't even know how to read the Bible. And there were scriptures on the bottom of the page that I would go find in the Word, in the Bible, and it just really brought the Bible to life for me. And so I really did the same thing here, just with the words that I think that God gave me.
That's amazing. See, I'm glad. See, it's funny. I find it when I ask enough questions, something magical happens. So I think God definitely wants you to share that today. And I really appreciate you just both of you being on here, but in specific, I really appreciate you sharing your heart. And that was literally sharing your heart. I don't even know why I asked that question in particular, but it's awesome. That's great. I'm going to put the link in the description. If people want to order it, that'd be awesome. You're saying it just came out like a couple weeks ago, a month ago, you said, or?
Came out on December 12th. So I was really prayerful that right before Christmas people could order it, and the feedback I've gotten, it's blessed me so much because they're like, this is exactly what I needed. And you know what? God is an on-time God. And so I believe that, the words that you guys read from this book, it will be specific to you because God's word is living and active, and he is a personal God. So I'm excited to hear feedback.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. Thank you, Lauren. I'll close off the podcast with that. I really appreciate your time, and Jeff as well. You guys are amazing. All righty.
Well, I appreciate you, Dylan. I'm honored to be on here, and excited to, just keep following you. You're inspirational, and I honor you for how much value you add to people.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All righty, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.